that you are treated a different way depending on your gender or the gender you choose to be.
As a male, I am pressured to leave my childhood and enter into adulthood quickly. As soon as I left my childhood, I was expected to be a man.
Gender is not only physical but also a state of mind.
I learned that with sexual orientation, there's many choices and identity.
I learned that gender is labeled in a variety of ways and is pretty complex because it's how people really feel inside.
And I feel gender is not just about your body parts, but also about how you feel on the inside, how you identify yourself.
Gender is a spectrum. It could be a boy, a girl, a transgender person, or anything from a dyke to a drag queen. Misogyny exists everywhere. In some cultures, women are not allowed to drive or go out without men.
In the graffiti culture, women play a big role in it, and the fact that there's more women getting involved in the movement is a pretty exciting thing.
As a 20-year-old male, I feel pressure to have a full-time job, in addition to going to school.
I believe that body parts don't define your gender. It's how you feel about yourself that defines your gender.
Because I was raised in a family where girls and women were asked to do household chores, make sure that it's a nurturing environment. We cooked, we kept the house clean, organized. So I guess the path that I took, the career that I chose, being a teacher, there's that nurturing aspect to it. So I feel like I'm just continuing what I was used to. So in that area, I guess I was affected by how I was raised as a girl.
Okay. So you have a rebellious streak?
Yes, I do.
Is it because of the way you were raised?
Partly, but maybe mainly because that's my DNA. I was the only one in the family who had divorced. Like my whole family, if I can remember, nobody has divorced. In the Philippines, of course, it's frowned upon. But I did that. What else? I don't really follow protocol very strictly, although I do not, break the law. But in some essence, yes, I do.
Would you change anything differently?
Yes, because when I was growing up, I was led to believe that if you're a woman, or maybe it's just my thinking, but I thought it's a cultural thing. You grow up, you get your degree, because in our house, not going to college was not an option. So I was thinking, oh yeah, I'm gonna get my degree, then I'm gonna get married, and then I'm gonna have children, because that's the path. So I didn't know any better, but I love my children, and I'm glad I finished my degree, but looking back, I would have traveled more, because now I realize I like to travel a lot. I would have dated more, so I didn't have to marry the first, guy who asked me to marry them. Yeah, those two things.
Okay, so now that you have grown and experienced your own life, are you gonna change the way you raise your daughters?
Well, I think I've already addressed that. I like them to be very independent. At the same time, being able to come to me or to their dad for support, to make sure that we provide, things that they cannot do on their own. But I like how they're, I'm raising them right now to be very independent, to be very open-minded, to be very loving and accepting of everybody. Not just women or girls or boys, but everybody, whatever their sexual orientation or gender is.
Do you feel that there's a difference between your male students and your female students in the way that they treat you in your classroom?
I think it's not really the gender difference per se, but it's more probably of a cultural difference. I've always had this better affinity and more comfortable situations with Latino kids, only because probably the Philippines was colonized by Spain for 398 years, so we have that cultural overlap. or same commonality and stuff like that. But to answer your question, I think it's more of a cultural difference in how students were raised and how they would treat their teacher. Like in the Philippines, as I said, it's almost ingrained. Even though there's machoism, like male are more macho, when it comes to school, even the male students are very, very respectful of female teachers.
Okay. So it seems like cultural difference plays a bigger role on how you're treated as a teacher.
That's my personal experience. That's correct.
By the time I got to high school, I felt like I was in a group of people that were a lot like me. So where in a regular school I might have been teased for not wanting to play sports.
So you were bullied.
Yeah. I mean, I think when I wasn't going to performing arts school, I felt like I was bullied because, growing up, there is a certain thing you have to do if you're a guy or if you're a boy. Yeah. And I wasn't into sports. I didn't want to play any sports. I hung out a lot with, female friends, and that was kind of seen as something weak. And when I went to regular school, once I got into performing arts, and I noticed that I was a lot more accepted. Mm-hmm. People at the school were a lot more like me.
Do you ever see sexism at work?
Do I see sexism at work?
Or misogyny?
Misogyny. Honestly, I see it in my classrooms, and I think a lot of times, it's not something that people are trying to do on purpose, but I think I notice definite gender biases or ideas that people have. Not so much in the office. I think what I love about, again, working at Artworks is that we're all pretty open-minded individuals, and I think you kind of have to be to work as an art educator, because we want to sort of bring that to our students. But yeah, when we have conversations in the classrooms, there are some challenging discussions that we have with our students, and this is why this theme is so great, because I think we're challenging a lot of those ideas that some students have, honestly.